Right, shall we start? Well, okay. So we were talking about the decision-making process. So how you take a good decision in an organization, because why it's really important, because you will be the manager in an organization. So manager is the key responsible person, in terms of taking decision in an organization. So the more accurate decision that you can take, so more accurate performance, and also how quickly that you can achieve your goals and objectives. And also in terms of the resource utilization, sometimes we see, right, when we have come up with incorrect decision, it's waste of resources in terms of our time sometimes, and also in terms of financially. So that's what we need to make sure that we take the correct decision. And it's happy emotional based decision. So by following a process. So that would be a really important part. Correct. So today we'll be also starting planning part as well, because that's the first process of the management process. Correct. Before that, we have like two questions, not kind of questions. Two incidents are there. So let's discuss how we come up with the better decision for those two incidents provided. Now, the first one is, it's about an employee strike. So as you see, the female employees of Subani Apparel Factory have been demanding an increment in their salaries for few weeks now, as their daily workload is higher than the average. As the management board didn't place much consideration on this, it has now grown up to a strike. Correct. So what do you think, guys? What do you think the first step? Identification of the problem properly. So first, you identify the problem correctly. Then you try to analyze the problem. Then you'll be coming back alternatives, formation of alternatives, and then you will be evaluating alternatives. Correct. Right. So just first focus on the first 4 steps. Then we continue with the rest of the 3 steps. Right. Now I want you to identify the problem. What do you think the problem? Is that the daily workload, that they are getting a higher daily workload? Is that the problem? No, I guess, right? The problem is the issue. Now we are seeing the issue is a strike. Employee strike is the issue. Employee strike. Employee strike. Correct. Now, because of the employee strike, what will happen, guys? When employee strike day-to-day you are not you will be unable to face the orders on the required deadlines. Make apparel factory example like the November strike December, January season April required orders fulfill customers customers orders next time they might not order from your company. So lot of difficulties that you might face. So having an employee strike, because of that, labor resource is one of an important resource out of the 4 factors: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Again, in terms of employees, that we'll be discussing in our lesson number 16, human resource management, the importance of managing the labor resource. even though you have all the resources, you have machineries, materials, capital, but it doesn't work at all when you don't have a proper human resource in terms of the employees. එනිසා අනිත් resources කොච්චර තිබුණත් වැඩක් නැහැ. employees are strike කරනවා නම් you are unable to conduct your day-to-day operation, which is in terms of the apparel production. එනම් මේ production එක නතර වෙනවා. ඒක තමයි simple result එක. So employee strike is there. Now shall we analyze the problem? There are a lot of reasons. When, why, how this happened. මම එකක් කියන්න how this happened. එක reason එකක් තමයි මේකට over workload එක. එහෙම කියනවා නේද? Yes, daily workload is higher than the average. So higher daily workload, obviously, because when you see a higher workload, maybe you have to work long hours, right? For that, you have to put some extra effort to complete those targets. So then it's something fair where they request for a salary increment, right? That is totally fine. So I would say how you analyze the problem. So one thing is that high workload, and also there's another reason. They have already come up with their concerns, but the board of directors or the management, they haven't put much attention on that. Yes, as the management board didn't place much concentration. reason strike at least මේගොල්ලන්ට තිබුණා පොඩි negotiation එකකට යන්න. දැන් ඔයාලට පේනවනේ අර managerial what do you call this managerial roles නේද? negotiator කෙනෙක්ට යන්න තිබුණා. දැන් වෙන්නේ disturbance handler strike එක වෙලා ඉවරයිනේ. දැන් negotiator resource allocator මේකේන ටික හරියට focus කරා නම් සමහර strike එක වළක්ව ගන්නත් තිබුණා. Correct. So I would say lack of attention of the management, right? Lack of attention to this problem. Lack of attention. Right? සමහරේම attention එකක් තිබ්බනම් මේක negotiate කළ strike එකට යන්න නැතිව මොනාරි solution එකක් ගන්න තිබුණා. Right. What is they are saying? So, right. Now it's time for us to formation of the alternatives. Formation of the alternatives. What do you think? Now there's a strike. Due to strike, you are unable to conduct your day-to-day business operations. Correct. So this is the factory and you have these employees, all are on a strike, not working at all. Right. So what are the formation of the alternatives? Okay. The first one I would say very easy. You just agree with them. So you increase the salary, right? You increase the salary. So formation of the alternatives. Now here you are not trying to evaluate. Evaluate කරන්න යන්නේ මොනවාරි possible solution එකක් තියෙනවද බලනවා. ඒක හරියයිද ඒකට තියෙන limitations තියෙනවද කියන එක අපි මෙතන බලන්නේ. So as much as possible the formations that will be evaluating. Right. එහෙනම් එකක් තමයි salary increment එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Salary increment. Salary increment. What else? Apart from the salary increment, yes, you can recruit new employees. But remember that there could be limitation on this. There could be limitations in terms of recruiting. Now, what are your opinions, guys? What are your opinions? So, what are your solutions? What do you think? මේ දෙක විතරද අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්? එහෙම දෙයක් කිව්වොත් relocate the factory ගොඩක් කියලානේ ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන relocate the factory relocate කිව්වොත් සමහර දැන් මේක ලංකාවේ තියෙන එකක් නේ. ලංකාවේ නැතුව ගිහලා බංග්ලාදේශ වල ස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරලා නැත්නම් මොනාරි චයිනා නැත්නම් අමාරුනේ. ඉන්දියාවේ දැන් ගොඩක් ලංකාවේ තියෙන බ්‍රැන්ඩික්ස් MS Holdings වගේ ෆැක්ටරිස් වල ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ෆැක්ටරිස් තියෙනවා මේ බංග්ලාදේශ ඉන්දියාව වගේ රටවල් වල. ඇයි මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සමහර ලේබර් ලෝස් වල තියෙන එච්චර ස්ට්‍රික්ට් නැහැ සහ low wages, right? So low wages so that we can see correct. Recruit new employees. You can relocate the factory. Relocate the factory. For example, my practical example එකක් කියන්නද? You know the Ford Motor Company, right? Ford Motors, which is a American motor vehicle manufacturing company. Ford Motors. Henry Ford ගැන අහලා ඇති. So he is the founder of Ford Motors. මොනවාද මේගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ? As you know, right? A country like United States, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ per hour rate එක, නේද? hourly rate එක වැඩි. Employee salary is high. Because of that thing, they try to relocate to some other countries. එතකොට මේ වගේ practical example එකක් තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තිබ්බ ඒ factories ඔක්කොම ඒගොල්ලෝ ගිහලා relocate කරා කොහෙද? මෙක්සිකෝ වල. මෙක්සිකෝ. right? මෙක්සිකෝ. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න මම දන්නේ මතක නැද්ද trade agreement එක නේද? අපි කතා කරා United States, Mexico and Canada. ඉතින් මේ විතර ඒ agreement එකේ ඒගොල්ලෝ මෙක්සිකෝ වල establish කරලා නැත්නම් relocate කරනවා. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට වාසි. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඕන විදිහට rules ටික හදා ගන්න පුළුවන්. So they can employ with less rates compared to them, and also other benefits, labor rules etc. strict නැති වෙයි. right මෙන්න මේ වගේ ඔයාලට relocate කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. අනිත් එක මම හිතන්නේ මේක කතා කරා අපි කලින් first example එකේ ඔයාලට මේක outsource කරන්න පුළුවන්. outsourcing නැත්නම් මේක sub contract කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. example එකක් මම කියන්නම්. Now in terms of outsourcing, දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් ලංකාවේ තියෙන MAS Practice වගේ organizations උත් කරන්නේ එක්තරා විදිහකට outsourcing එකක්. ඒගොල්ලෝ world renowned brand වලට මෙහි ඉඳලා product එක හදනවා. example එකක් විදිහට අපි හිතමු Nike වෙන්න පුළුවන්, Puma වෙන්න පුළුවන්, Gap වෙන්න පුළුවන්, Speedo වෙන්න පුළුවන්, Slackenger වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So kind of the big brands that they are trying to produce their product. Because why they cannot do their production in those countries? Because of the high labor cost and the applicable rules and regulation in terms of the employee relations, in terms of labor laws. Correct? So it's easy that they outsource this one. So as this organization also, maybe they get it and outsource and get it done that orders from another company. Right? What else, guys, you think? Apart from that, is that all the alternatives? Maybe with the alternatives together. What do you think? Any other ideas from you guys? Any creative ideas? You have to think. What do you think about the change in the technology sometimes? Right? To some extent, it might help. Labor-oriented production and the labor incentive and capital incentive. right? In economics, you might probably heard those two words: labor intensive and capital intensive. Where the labor intensive is where you use more labor and less capital. So where the capital intensive is where you use more capital and less labor. Or maybe you try to come up with a new technology where you can minimize the labor intervention. But there could be limitations on that, in terms of especially a product like apparel. So how you can, remove the human element and replace it with machineries. But maybe to some extent, it might help. So, you can keep less number of employees and you can, take a decision on that. So I would say like, changing the technology, right? Changing the technology. Again, I'm telling you, those are the possible things that you can take. Make a practical, the නැත්ත මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් ද බැරිද කියන එක ගැන අපි එච්චර concern වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But we try to come up with something, right? Changing the technology. එහෙනම් මොනවද? Labor intensive එකක ඉඳලා නේද හැමෝම දන්නා නේද labor intensive වැඩිපුර labor use කරනවා. මොකද labor cheap නිසා. Right? Compared to capital, they can machineries. Another thing is capital intensive, where you use more capital because of the machineries prices are less compared to the labor. Mama keyword example like from labor intensive to capital intensive, right? Capital intensive. It can high usage of machineries, right? Which is less labor, more capital, right? Less labor, more capital. This is something that you are trying to do. Correct. Now, so that we have come up with 5 alternatives. I guess that's enough, right? Correct. Now the next step, moving to next step is that you need to evaluate those alternatives. You have to evaluate those alternatives. Now, how we are going to try to evaluate those? How you evaluate it? Now again, can I ask you guys all to meet what are different alternative right? Please share your answers. Sharing the knowledge is important in an environment like today. Otherwise, the environment knowledge sharing is important. Okay. Salary increment, recruit new employees, relocate the factory, outsourcing, subcontracting, change in the technology. So labor intensive to capital intensive, but there could be limitations, but we are just list down those. Okay. Now, in terms of evaluating, right? 5th step, evaluation. What do you think? Salary increment. So pros and cons, so plus points. What are the negative points? In terms of salary increment. So cost will increase obviously, because the labor cost, so the wages in your profit and loss statement, your wages increase. So wages increase, and not only that, when you increase the salary, the rest of the benefits, example, ETF, EPF, gratuity payments, never increase. Based on that, you will be calculating the ETF, EPF, gratuity, things like that, bonuses. Now, along with that, other expenses, other salary related expenses would badi venawa. Correct? Sorry. Those are like negative points, right? The plus points. Right. What do you think about any kind of positive thing? When you compare to recruit employees, what will happen? Right? So, now in terms of increasing the salary, you can motivate your employees, right? So, employee motivation is a key factor. Employee motivation is a key factor. Employee motivation. and then you will be able to retain your existing employees. The salary වැඩි කරොත් මේගොල්ලන් අයින් කරන්නේ නැහැනේ නේ. You retain them, and very important, why experience matters a lot. So we are having like experienced employees. Now what will happen when you try to recruit? So there could be trainees, you have to train. So there are a lot of costs in terms of training and development. Or maybe if you try to think of increasing the salary, salary increase ඊට වඩා cost එකක් දැන් training development වලට යනවා. And also you know that to increase their productivity and efficiency, it takes time. because ඒගොල්ලෝ experience එක ගන්න තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ efficiency productivity වැඩි වෙන්නේ. නේද? එකපාරට කෙනෙක් අලුතෙන් job එකකට ආවට පස්සේ especially without experience, so it takes time to absorb the process and be very efficient. එහෙනම් එතරම් issue එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So employee, and you can retain the employee. And also this is good for the company's reputation point of view. Otherwise, it will be a big news, right? Laying off your employees, or maybe you have to face court cases, legal, actions. Maybe there are happen. Cost take a major negative point taken. Recruit new employees. What do you think? So when you recruit new employees for a lesser wages, I would say one of a plus point would be in terms of wages, there is a chance that you can reduce it or you can keep as it is. But the negative points are it's not good for the company reputation point of view, not good. And also higher costs for training and development, high cost. And also remember that the efficiency and productivity, and also let me share this fact as well. You cannot assume they are efficient as the previous employees. In that manner, errors, right, issues, there's a high chance a new employees make errors because they are not familiar with the process. So maybe it will have a negative impact with the customer satisfaction. සමහරට අර කියන අවුරුදු 5-10 වැඩ කරපු employees ලා එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන් සමහරට experience as වහගෙන සමහරව මහන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ නැති. හරි whatever the task that they are performing, right? And also they know how to satisfy the customers because they have been with the organization for a long period of time. In a methodology, errors, in a make an impact on a customer satisfaction, and also less productivity. The productivity training. They need some time to adopt and be familiar with the process. Correct. Make a plus point විදියට ඇත්තට මේක ගොඩක් මම නම් දකින්න මේකේ negative points තමයි. අනිත් එකක් මම කියන්නම් දැන් ඔය recruit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අනිත් අයව අයින් කරා කියන එකනේ. එහෙනම් තවත් එනවා මෙතනට negative points මොනවාද? Maybe there are labor laws in Sri Lanka, there's a labor department, or maybe the employees union action against the company, maybe they'll file a court case. And remember, not only that, you cannot just lay off employees. You have to pay the gratuity from them, a compensation as per the labor laws. Example, like their latest salary into the number of years they have worked. Example, like if an employee is earning 50,000 salary, so 50,000 into number of years. And 50,000 number of years pahina 250,000 compensation එකක් pay කරන්න වෙනවා. ඒක තමයි minimum rule එක or the law. ඊට අමතරව maybe the labor department, the labor laws might apply in එතනදී compensation අනිත් පැත්තෙන් මොනවාද? legal actions. legal actions නිකන් ගන්න බෑ. ඒකට වඩා legal cost එකක් යනවා. legal fees, you have to consult lawyers, law firms, so you are paying for them. So I would say this is kind of not a not a good option at all, because we see a list goes like this, and I'm not good for the reputation, training and development cost, errors, customer satisfaction decreased, less productivity, and also they had to face legal cases, legal actions. So you cannot just face those. You have to spend money on winning the cases. So lawyers fees, legal charges, that will be there, and plus compensations. The main value, local negative point. If you try to recruit new employees, correct, good. Then you know, if you are the managing director or the CEO, සමහරට උදේ ගියපු ගමන්ම නේද අට තරහ ඔයාට මේ කේන්ති ඇවිල්ලා වගේ නෑ මේ ඔක්කොම අයින් කරා. You take the decision, right? No, we'll recruit new one. එහෙම කියන එකපාරට සමහරට, you know, right? We try to take decisions sometime by emotions. පස්සේ මාර්ගයෙන් කරගත්තේ මෝඩ වැඩක් කියලා නේද? ඒ වෙලාවේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ request එක listen කරා නම් හොඳයි කියලා හිතනවා. මොකද මෙන්න මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ නිසා. Correct. Relocate the factory. Relocate කිව්වත් ඔව් එතරම්දි වෙන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට දැන් ලංකාවේ නම් එහෙම state wise වෙනසක් නැහැ. අනිත් දැන් ඔය ඉන්දියාව, US, ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාව වගේ රටවල් වල තියෙනවා state wise වෙනස්. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ move වෙන්න පුළුවන් state වලින් state නැත්නම් අපි කියන්නේ ප්‍රාන්ත කියලා. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ එක එක rules apply වෙනවා. ලංකාව නම් එහෙම ලොකු දෙයක් නැහැ. So we can shift the company to another location, India or Bangladesh. So you can sell the existing property, or maybe with the lesser investment you can start the business. එතනත් අපිට ඉතින් plus and negative points තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Outsourcing subcontractors, yes, එතනත් ඉතින් your business strategy, the special efforts, and also your techniques in terms of your methods, your cost saving methods. So those things we have to share with the other employees, and maybe you cannot assure in terms of the quality. There could be some quality drops as well. So then likewise, and changing the technology, yes, you'll be having so many challenges in terms of that. I would say some sort of a negative point, the high investment. But if you think the long-term point of view, maybe cost efficient. You are not trying to recover the investment by just 2-3 years, but in the long term, it might help. So that's why high investment. So you might take some cost efficiency in the long run or the long term. So there's a risk as well, right? Because when you are trying to adapt to new situation, when you try to adapt to new technology, we cannot exactly confirm the fact that it will work as we plan, right? So ප්‍රශ්න වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඉතින් මේ වගේ අපිට බලුවොත් so we will be able to evaluate all the ones. So then you have to select the best decision. Yes, next one, selecting the best alternative. එහෙනම් ආට මතකයි practicability, legality, sustainability, cost effective. මෙන්න මේ විදිහට checklist එකක් තියෙනවා. Practicability, එහෙම නැත්නම් කියන්න පුළුවන් possibility, right? Legality in terms of cost, in terms of sustainability, right? So you are trying to do the checklist. එකින් එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. සමහරට අපි last එකේ පටන් change the technology maybe not possible sometime, or maybe recruiting new employees sometimes it's not legal because you cannot just lay off the existing employees, or maybe for like number 5, cost is higher, so you're not in a position to afford it at the moment. In terms of relocating, maybe that we discuss the things, maybe it's not practical. So likewise, each and everything you are trying to do what? you need to make sure that you fill those. Correct. Then you can do what? Making a plan to implement. Yes, let's say now you think of increasing the salary. What is your plan? Or maybe discuss with the employees or negotiate up to the point. You're not just trying to accept as they increase. You're trying to negotiate the salary rate. So likewise, you'll be taking a plan and maybe you advise the finance to allocate the extra funds and change their payroll and increase according. So you're making plan to implement and then finally the evaluation and the feedback. You should be able to operate the factory as usual. So that should be stop the strike first and then conduct the business operations as usual. So then recruit new employees. What would be the plan? Or maybe you advertise, you try to hire some sort of a labor hiring company and get those employees on board. So all the legal matters, you would be maybe conducting, I would say, interviews, right? There are qualification, experience. So it takes a lot of time. So that's what the plan. Relocate the factory. So plan, if you select that one, the plan would be to find a location and to where you try to shift. So how we do the discussions with that particular location and what are the applicable new rules and regulations. So how do you get or how you sell the existing property here and how you purchase or how you establish or construct the new site. So you have to think about those. Outsourcing subcontractors, also the plan would be to which supply or to which company or the contractor that you're trying to give I would say this contract. So their reputation, their quality level, you will have to check. Change the technology. So which type of a technology, or maybe you try to go and practically see existing companies who are practicing this technology, or maybe you visit some other countries to see how their production process that they are conducting. So likewise, you make a plan and you maybe appoint a team to research on that, the practicability of applying it. So a lot of things in terms of the planning or make it real. And then finally, evaluation and the feedback. Correct. So that's why now this is all about you think in the broad manner where it's not trying to limit it just to 2-3 options, where you try to investigate a lot of options and see the bigger picture. What's the best alternative we can select as a solution and then implement it. So then the correct decision that you can bring. Again, what do you think? Do you guys want any kind of, I think I explained all of things, right? If you want to have a kind of, note down any points you can take. But, be practical and you have to think in a different point of view. Product venas videyකට හිතන්න තියෙන practical වෙලා. එතකොට you can come up with the solutions. Next one. It's about Niranjana conduct a private hospital named Asumina Private Limited. A financial problem has been raised to obtain a set of equipment required to the hospital. Right, correct. Oh, එහෙනම් අපේ issue එක තමයි financial problem එකක්. ඇයි ඒක ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? Because we need to obtain a set of equipment. So that's the analysis point of view. What do you think the formation of alternatives? මොනවාගේ alternatives ද අපිට මෙතන ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ? Let's see. දැන් මෙතන company type එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ බලන්න Asumina Private Limited. මම මේක නම දැකපු ගමන් මට හිතුණ දෙයක් තමයි ඔයාට මේක list කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් නේද? ඔයාට පුළුවන් නම් මේක private limited එක public limited company එකක් කරන්න නේද? Issuing shares. Right, share issue එකකට යන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් Colombo Stock Exchange list කරන්න පුළුවන් company එක. Right, මොකද private limited එකක් ආට share issue කරන්න පුළුවන්. Because it's already a company. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඉතින් traditionally ආට loan එකකට යන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් මේකේ existing asset එකක් sell කරන්න පුළුවන්. If you are not in a position to go for long, existing asset එකක් sell කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් මේකට ගන්න equipment වලට leasing facility එකක් ගන්න, especially something like operational lease එකක්. The leasing facility එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් hire purchase facility එකක් for the equipment. Or maybe on installment basis you are trying to agree to pay them. Right. So likewise, you can come up with some sort of alternatives. So make up taking it analyze කරන්න පුළුවන් සමහරට issuing CST not a practical thing, or maybe again there's a risk, right? In terms of the listing rules, loan එකෙත් සමහරට මේ දවස්වල high interest එකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. So that part again, and it increase the liabilities of the business from the other point of view, and maybe selling an existing asset, or maybe you don't have such asset, or maybe it would be really disadvantages of selling that, right? Someone asset එකක් sell කරන එක ගොඩක් අවාසිදායක තත්ත්වයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. lease එකෙත් අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් මොනවද ඒකේ in terms of it saves some cash flow, but still an interest you have to pay, right? So additional responsibilities. If the company is not performing well, there's a risk in terms of paying the installment. Maybe there make it up one by one evaluate කරන්න පුළුවන්. So then you try to pick the correct one. So then you can think of the fact the checklist could be see one by one in terms of the correct decision that you can take. And then once you pick the one that you wanted to implement, so then you need to make a plan in that. For example, you decided to issue shares, so then you might think of, you go and talk to a stockbroker, how the process, how we can list, what are the rules that we have to follow, number of shares that we are planning to issue, the price, and when we are trying to issue, maybe data or take a plan එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. select කරේ asset එකක් sell කරන්න නම් මොකද්ද plan එක, මොන asset එකද sell කරන්නේ, කාටද sell කරන්නේ, කීයටද sell කරන්නේ, ඒක enough වෙයිද අපේ requirement එකට මේ විදිහට evaluate කරන්න පුළුවන්. Leasing facility also, yes, the plan would be from which leasing company we take this facility, and so how we decide the down payments, and how we decide on the monthly installment, whether it's matched with the company's financial position. In terms of loan, right, from which bank that you are taking, whether you are going for a short-term loan or a long-term loan, so the loan interest, loan conditions, that you can think of. So then you finally do the evaluation and the feedback to verify the issue has been addressed, and then you should be able to run the business as usual. Because why? As a manager, you have come up with a solution. Make ignore correct. So then it's not the correct duty. It's not. It's that something you're not fulfilling your responsibility because there are lack of equipment, but you do not put any attention on it to solve. So as a manager, your job is to find a correct solution for those problems, right? So we discuss what is the problem, something you meet on your way, some sort of obstacle that you have to face, because having the lack of proper machineries, equipment is a limitation, it's a drawback in terms of conducting the business operation. So as the manager, as the responsible person, you have addressed that issue and make sure all are well equipped in order to conduct the business operations. Correct. ඉතින් ඒ විදිහට අපිට practically හිතුවොත් මේ වගේ issue එකක ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. ඔයාගේ exam point of view එකේ මොනවද මේ steps 7 ගැන පැහැදිලි අවබෝධයක් ගන්න steps 7 පුළුවන් වෙන්න අවශ්‍යයි. මේක list down කරන්න කිව්වොත් ඒ වගේ මොනාරි issue එකක් දීලා මොන වගේ incident එකක් දීලා මුළු process එකම නම් අහන්න practically, or maybe few steps they might ask you to explain some few steps, maybe at least what's the key issue, what's the reason behind the issues, and how do you evaluate the each and every alternative. මේ වගේ මුළු process එක ගැනම නෙමෙයි, ඒ processing steps කීපයක් explain කරන්න එන්න පුළුවන්. Explain these steps as per the decision making process. තවත් important part එකක් මෙන්න මේ checklist එකේ දේවල් අහලා තියෙනවා. decision එකක් ගන්න කලින් අපි මොන ගැන area ගැනද සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය කියන එක එකත් ටෙස්ට් කරලා තියෙනවා. නිසා practicability, possibility, legality, cost, sustainability අන්නේ criteria ගැන අපිට we have to put our attention. Well, so that's about the decision making process, right? Good. With that, we are moving to a new subtopic, which is the planning. Now, I would like to start with a story. Now, let me tell you this is the story, right? Okay, guys, I hope you are fine with that. All the two incidents clean and clear. Raise your voice if you have any concern in terms of those two incidents. Well, right. So now it's time for us to discuss the planning process, which is the very first process in the management main 4 pillars. Right. බලන්න මේ quote එක අහලා තියෙනවද කියලා. There's a saying that මොනවද කියන්නේ? This shows that planning, failing to plan is planning to fail. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Failing to plan. දැන් බලන්න ඔයාට plan එකක් තියෙනවද ඔයාගේ goals objectives ගැන? ඔයාගේ exam එක ගැන. Exam is not all about all your life, right? But rest of your goals බලන්න ඔයාට ඔයාගේ future ගැන goal එකක් තියනවද? Plan එකක් තියනවද කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? If you don't have a plan, so failing to plan is what? Failing to plan means you are planning something, but you are planning to fail. That's what we can say. So failing to plan is planning to fail. Or plan එකක් නැතුව වැඩ කරනවා කියන්නේ fail වෙන්න plan කරනවා. දැන් fail වෙන්න කියන්නේ not just focus on an exam, but rest of the goals, right? So that is why we need to make sure we work as per plan. දැන් පේනවානේ the country රටට වෙලා තියෙනදී they can fail නේ they වගේ අර පොඩි campaign එකකින් because you are not working according to a plan, right? කිසිම සැලසුමක් නැහැ, right? We don't think how we try to achieve those without a proper plan. So everything you need to have a proper plan, right? So let me tell you this little story to you, which you will get an idea about the importance of planning. And then planning comment, පොඩි දෙයක් මිස් දැන් example එකක් විතර මේ හිතන්නකෝ. You are organizing an event. ඔයා මේ හැම event එකක්ම අපිට මොනාරි commerce day එකක් වගේ දෙයක් quiz competition එකක් ඔය school වල තියෙන නිදාසල. But due to this situation, they are not in a position to organize such a thing. But මොනාරි event එක බලන්න ඔක්කොම organize කරලා හැබැයි lighting up the oil lamp එක. තාද්දි මොනාරි එතනදී පොඩි දෙයක් එක්ක ඒකේ oil දාලා නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් match box එකක් තියලා නැහැ. මේ විදිහට අර simple දෙයක් වුණත් අපිට හැම එකම plan කරන්න වෙනවා. එහෙම නැතිනොත් ඒක හැම දෙයකටම impact එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Correct. Because I remember one incident. I participated for a kind of an event. So they called for the name for the winners as well, but then only they realized that they haven't picked the medals and certificate from where they gave the order to print those. So like that. ඒ නිසා අපිට planning කියන එක හැම aspect එකකදීම අවශ්‍ය වෙන එක පොඩි දෙයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Major task එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but could be a small task as well. Correct. Right. Now this is a story about 4 students. Let's see the story first, and then you'll think of the importance of planning in every aspects, right? හැම පොඩි දෙයක් සමහර අපිට පොඩි දෙයකින් නේද ඒ ඉන්සිඩන්ට් එකක් මිස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. Now this is about that incident. Well, let me share the screen to you guys. Right. This is a story about 4 college students. Right? So one night, 4 college students were playing till late night and could not study for the test which was scheduled for the next week. Right? මේගලන්ට paper එකක් නැත්නම් examination එකක් තියෙනවා. But මේගොල්ලෝ මේකට study කරලා නැහැ. Right? Study කරලා නැහැ. Right. Now what happened? So they decided to go and meet the respective teacher or the lecturer and ask him to say that they had to face some incident. What's the incident? Right? So they kind of so they make a plan. So what we should do now? So one of the student is suggesting that so their tire got burst, or during that they are on the way to the exam, right? අපිට මේගොල්ලෝ ගෙදරින් exam එකට එද්දි university එකට හරි exam hall එකට එද්දි මේ විදිහට tire එකක හුලං ගිහිල්ලා tire එකක් පුපුරලා මොනවා හරි වෙලා මේගොල්ලන්ට එන්න බැරි වුණා කියලා කියමු කියලා තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ plan කරේ. So then everyone agreed. So no issue with that. So then the lecturer also agreed. Okay, that is fine, no issue. So then you can face the test on a 1 week of time, right? So 1 week time එකක් දෙන්න මේකට prepare වෙන්න කියලා කිව්වා. So then also student also got very happy. ඒගොල්ලෝ හරියම සතුටු වුණා. මොකද week එකක්ම තියෙනවා පාඩම් කරන්න බැරි වෙච්ච නිසා. So they started studying. They tried to they dedicated full week to study this subject, right? මොකද study කරන්න බැරි වුණා මේක මුළු week එකේම study කරලා. හැබැයි මේ lecture එක දෙයක් mention කරා, you'll be having a special paper. ඒගොල්ලෝ මම ඔයාලට දෙන්නේ special paper එකක් කියලා. special paper කිව්වම ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතුවා හරි මොනාරි පොඩි content එක අඩු වෙලා හරි ප්‍රශ්න අඩු කරලා මොකද මේක repeat exam එකක් නේ, not just the original exam but another paper. And so obviously paper will be changed, structure වෙනස් වෙයි. Special paper එකක් කියන එක, that's how they understood. Right. Now the exam day came and this is the paper that they received. Right. So no problem. So after 3 days of week they try to give. So then they thank the professor and they face the examination. And this is the paper that those students received. What is the question? There are only like 2 questions, 2 marks for the question number 1 and the 98 marks for the question number 2, which you need to suppose at least take 40 in order to pass, which means anyway you have to find the correct answer for the question number 2. Right. Then මේගොල්ලෝ ඉන්නේ separate places වල හතර දෙනාම නිසා මේක copy කරන්නේ කිසිම point එකක් නැහැ. මොනවාද ප්‍රශ්නේ? Which tire burst? Front left, front right, back left or the back right? Right. දැන් දන්නා කොහමද first මේ විදිහට බොරුවක් තමයි කිව්වේ. හැබැයි ඇත්තටම මෙහෙම දෙයක් වුණා නම් ඔයා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මේකට answer එක දාන්න. මොකද එහෙම දෙයක් වුණා නම් ඔයාට මතකයි මොන රෝදෙද හුලං ගියේ කියලා. Right? හැබැයි මේක බොරුවක්. හැබැයි මේකල ඒක plan කරේ නැහැ. මේක පොඩි දෙයක් නේද? ඒ නිසා මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ එන්න නම් students ලා හතර දෙනාගේම answer එක සමාන වෙන්න ඕනේ. කියලා හතර දෙනෙක් vehicle එක ගියා නම් ඒකේ එක රෝදික හුලං ගිහලා ආට ඒ වගේ trouble එකකට මුණ දෙන්න උනා. මට හොඳටම මතකයි මෙන්න මේක ඉස්සරහා රෝදද පිටිපස්සේ රෝදද ඒක left ද right ද කියන එක අනිවාර්යෙන්ම මතක තියෙන්න. ඒ නිසා ඔයා මේක බොරුවක් කියපු නිසා you don't have any clue, right? එහෙනම් very rare chance හතර දිනාම එක answer එකක් දාන්න තියෙන chance එක very less. So then it seems like they are not getting the full marks for that. That's kind of a thing that we which provide the message importance of planning. That you have to think so many factors. සමහරව හිතන්නේ නැති පැතිවලින් තමයි මේ මොන හරි දෙයක් ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරාට පස්සේ අපිට ෆේස් කරන්න වෙන ඩිෆිකල්ටිස්. අපිට එන ප්‍රශ්න සමහර පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් විතර අපි හිතමු නැති දෙයකින්. හැබැයි ප්‍රශ්නේ ලොකුයි. You see, right? 98 marks, but we never thought of that. We never planned. Right? මොකද්ද වෙච්ච ඉන්සිඩන්ට් එක කියලා ලොකුට ප්ලෑන් කරේ නැහැ. පිටුවක් නැටාදයක් උලන් ගියා කියලා කිව්වා. නේද? ඒකල කවදාවත් හිතුවේ නැහැ නේ මොනට ආයෙකට කියලා හයිද කියලා. right? In our week එකක් මේකල පාඩම් කරන එකත් අපරාධේ because there were no questions related to subject matters. right? The subject related questions තිබුණේ නැහැ. මොන මේක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. right? So මොකක්ද මේකේ දෙන message එක අපිට. message එක තමයි you have to plan. right? You have to plan in every aspect. You have to see from different angles. For each and every small little points, you have to take into consideration. Right. Good. And also for you to tell something, you might have heard about the Apollo 11 mission. I'm not exactly sure whether that's a true or false. That's a different story. But Neil Armstrong and all the team, අපව Earth එකට return උනේ නැත්තම් ඒගොල්ල කරන speech එක පවා ඒගොල්ල record කරලා තියලා. So to play in radios these days, to how they address the nation. So that sort of a plan that they have made. Correct. Somehow. So we are here to study the importance of plan. So now you can see, yes, so you have to plan on the things, because why I'm telling like that? When it comes to businesses, the business environment is so unpredictable. So you cannot predict at all. So the uncertainty is there, right? And also the dynamic business environment, and also with the competition. So because of those things, planning is really important. So then only you can achieve your organizational goals and objectives correctly. Now this is simple as that. This is how what are the things you need to achieve, what are your goals and objectives, and how you achieve. Correct? Planning. මම exam එක A level exam එක example එකක් විදිහට කියලා දෙන්න. What are your goals and objectives to pass the exam well? So then how you achieve it? Or කොහොමද ඒක කරන්නේ? Self studies, right? Internet, YouTube resources, attending classes, school, doing papers, revise the knowledge. Those are the things that you have to do, right? So in terms of organizing, that's the resource allocation and the resource part. So what are the resources that you available, right? So what are the set of stationaries, books, right? Past papers, so tunes, materials. And the motivation is that, or the leadership, or the leading is all about, leading as well as get motivated. Sometimes you are really motivated sometimes, but sometimes not. But it's something that you try to keep it, consistent manner. And then finally controlling to check whether you're on the track or not. So likewise, in an organization, in terms of achieving goals and objectives in a changing or a dynamic environment, you need to have a plan. So then only you can finally do the controlling. So I would say planning is like a foundation, because you cannot perform the rest of the management steps without planning. For example, how do you do controlling without having a plan? Because controlling something, you check the actual status with the plan. So it's like what you expected versus but the actual situation. Plan versus the actual situation. So how you control, how you check whether there are variances in terms of when you didn't have a plan. And a plan එකක් නැත්නම් ඔයා මොකක් එක්කද මේක compare කරන්නේ actual results. So there's no point that you try to compare your actual results because you didn't have a plan at all. Correct. So this is what, guys, about what are your objectives and goals, how you determine them, what are the things that we need to achieve in our life, in terms of your personal life, in terms of an organization. As an organization, what we need to achieve, right? What are our goals and objectives? And then how we achieve, achieve karega. So that's all about the planning. Now, this is the planning, the key areas that we'll be discussing. Yes, as usual, definitions provided by two persons, which is not actually two persons, that we consider this as a one person, Stoner, Freeman and Gilbert, who came up with the joint article. So they have come up with some definition. And G.A. Call, so he's also providing a definition for the planning process. And then there are some key areas or key concepts that we need to make sure we know before we start the planning process. Something like how we prepare our vision statement, mission statement, goals, objectives, policies, strategy, procedures, rules, program, and the projects. And finally, again, there's a process for planning, right? Including 9-step model is there, like we discussed in terms of the decision-making process. processes planning process organizing process leading process controlling process management key area processes main, right? So planning, organizing, leading, and controlling each and every step again consists of different steps. Planning process process steps. Organizing, leading, and controlling also the same. So and also we will be discussing on that part. Correct. Now, what I can recommend to you is, as usual, can we take the content? I'm not sure whether you have already taken it, right? But if not, can we come up with this one? Planning the key contents, definitions. Who are providing definitions? Stoner, Freeman, and Gilbert, and G.A. Call. And here the key concepts in planning. So we are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 key concepts that we have to discuss, and then the steps in planning process. Well, let me give you like 2 minutes for this, and then can we all come to the planning tube, that part. So I have put some blank, so where we can first write the 2 definitions provided. Additionally, I have provided another one, which is this part. Winston Churchill. You know who's Winston Churchill? He's one of the former prime minister in UK, especially who led the country during World War II. So that's why they plan a lot in terms of this war operations. Operation plan fail in the plan. Correct. Good. So let me give you like 1 to 2 minutes. So then we can take the 2 definitions. So it doesn't matter the person who provided the definition. It's all about, they are all talking about the same thing, right? වචන ටික විතරයි වෙනස්. එකම idea එකක් තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ හැම definition එකකම mean කරන්නේ. Well, so this is the one I was talking about. This is outside of the syllabus that I have mentioned. Make syllabus in definition, but I felt like something interesting to share with you, right? He who fails to plan is planning to fail. Now the two boxes, so one you can write, which is provided by Stoner, Freeman, and Gilbert, and the rest part is in terms of GA code, right? Shall we come up with this one? The process of establishing goals and a suitable course of action for achieving. Like I said, what are the goals we need to achieve and how we achieve? So what are the course of action? So what you need to do in terms of achieving those. And GA call, so he's saying like deciding the goals and objectives of an organization and how and preparing how to meet them. One are the thing like goals you decide on them, and these are the things I want to achieve and how I achieve, right? What is my plan on behalf of that? So you can see in your life what are the goals you need to achieve and how you can achieve those. So deciding the goals is very important because sometimes without deciding the goals, so it's just like I would say a ship without a captain. So where they do not know the directions, right? Where it's heading to. Okay? So you need to make sure that you know your end destination. So then only you plan it accordingly. Right, I hope you are done with writing. So remember, we are now at the moment we have learned about so much of new names of the people who contributed to the management subjects. So that manner, make sure you know the names correctly, who have come up with the definitions, who have come up with the concepts. You might remember Henry Ginsberg, Robert L. Kurtz, and now G.A. Cole, and even for Stone and Freeman, we have talked about previously. Right now, before we move to the steps of the planning process, planning කරන්නත් අපිට steps ටිකක් තියෙනවා follow කරන්න guidelines ටිකක්. මම ඒකට එන්න කලින් I'll discuss some of the key concepts that we should have a proper understanding before we try to start this process. So which is starting from the vision statement, mission, goals, and objectives. Now you know something when it comes to vision statement. Now if you try to visit the website of an organization, you can easily find it in the introduction, the vision and the mission statement. Now vision describes the fact where their long-term imagination as a company, right? Where they are heading in terms of their long-term. But there's no specific definition for the long term. So it not exactly saying it's 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. So it's the statement which guides the entire organization, right? Entire organization. So it's not just limited to operations. It's not just limited to marketing. It's not just limited to HR. So how the entire organization guides. And as you grow, the mission also grows. Why? That is why it starts with letter V. Now, can you see if you write the letter V, right? Are they going to cross each other at any point? Maybe V akura V shape bigger. මෙහෙම යද්දි මේක කවදාද cross වෙනවා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙහෙම යද්දි ඔයාලගේ company එක grow වෙනවා කියන්නේ, right? So so it's never cross each other. So that's what your vision is. In the long term, the situation where you need to achieve. But you always make sure you come up with a better vision, because the better vision that you have, and then the better quality of service that you can provide, because you always try to improve or update yourself to the next level as you grow. Okay. It's not like that's why I told you that's the imaginary situation. Now, on the example like here now. United Nations. The United Nations lage තියෙනවානේ එක එක sub committees and sub committees කියලා කියන්න බෑ. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අපි හිතමු දැන් UN එකේම තියෙනවා WHO, World Health Organization. UN එකේම WTO. ඒ විදිහට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙනවා United Nations අපි ගත්තොත් UNICEF කියන ඒ වගේ එකක්. United Nations Food Program කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. United Nations Food Program එක. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මිෂන් එක තමයි to අපි කිව්වොත් which is to eliminate the hunger in the world. ඒ කිව්වොත් මුළු ලෝකෙම බඩගින්න නිමා කිරීම. You know, right, when it comes to some countries that are struggling to find the basic needs, not having a proper way to I would say satisfy that one. හැබැයි ඒක ගත්තොත් possibility එක එහෙම පුළුවන් වේද කරන්න. මේ ලෝකේ කවුරුවක්ම that basic need එක fulfill කරගන්න හැමෝටම chance එකක් තියෙන. එකකින් වෙන එක zero eliminate කරනවා. මම මෙහෙම දෙයක් කිව්වොත් අපිටම කෙනෙක් කවරේකිනා to eliminate totally the use of fuel as energy, right? So I would say it's not something possible, but to some extent they can achieve, to some extent. So that is why it comes with the shape V, whereas the business grows, your vision statement, so you are trying to achieve the next level. Once you achieve it, so then you are trying to achieve the next level. So that's what with the continuous improvement. Right now, that's why the companies, they're not trying to stop. For example, once they come up with a particular module or a some sort of a product, they always come up with the next version of it by providing, upgrading some sort of a additional features. So they were never going to stop it, right? So that's what the continuously they are improving. So that's what value vision. Now, when you come to the mission, is where you can see it's a statement. Now, vision, you cannot. You cannot take like the bigger picture. What's actually you have to do in order to achieve the vision. Example like අපි කියුත් අර මුළු ලෝකයේම කුසගින්න නිමා කරනවා කියලා කියනවා United Nations Food Program එක. It doesn't make any sense, right? මේක කොහොමද කරන්නේ? මේකට තියෙන plans මොනවද කියන එක. එහෙනම් vision is a statement actually. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට vision එක කිව්වොත් ඒක sentence එකකට වගේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට limit වෙනවා. But mission is a statement. Mission එක. Mission එකේදී වෙන්නේ එහෙනම් it describe how you further achieve the vision in a detailed manner. So what's the organization is about? What are your strategies in terms of achieving this? Right? So set of things that you'll be doing. So that's about the vision statement. Right. Now first we'll come up with some more examples. Practically from the organizations mission statement up in the website what is the relationship between the vision and mission? Mission එක හදලා තියෙන vision එක base කරගෙන why it's further explain how you achieve the vision. So that's the relationship with that part. Right. Well, so coming to the page number I think page number 2 of the tute, you see that how some of the vision statement. Correct. So which shows the fact, a statement that guides the entire organization and that compresses the entire affairs of the organization. That's why vision එකක් කියන්නේ එක department එකක් focus කරපු හදපු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. එක team එකක්, එක unit එකක් base කරගෙන හදපු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. So the entire organization. So it guides the affairs of the entire organization. So that's something you need to highlight, right? Entire organization, which compresses the entire affairs. A vision is a mental image. That's why I told you it's an imaginary situation sometimes. It's a mental image of what you want your business to be at some point in the future. So that's why they are not exactly saying the future time. It's within 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. At some point in the future, which is, which we are going to exactly count on. The mental image or the imaginary situation that you want your business to be at some point. Or maybe the person who came up with the innovations, who have contributed to the technology, maybe they never thought their business would be in such a position nowadays. Or maybe they had some sort of imaginary situation. For example, let's say when the very first time Apple introduced their very first mobile smartphone, maybe they had the imaginary situation, right? At some point in our business, the point where we realize the business would operate. Okay. So likewise, it's all about the imaginary situation. Now you can see that. So one of a vision of Sri Lanka's bank, actually this is the commercial bank of Ceylon. They are saying to be the most technologically advanced, innovative, and customer-friendly financial services organization in Sri Lanka for further expansion in South Asia. එතකොට ලොකු මේකේ upper limit එකක් ගැන කියන්නේ further expansion in South Asia. Further expansion. So you cannot limit it. So you can say I'm still further expanding. I'm still further expanding. Can you say that I have achieved it? Like you are saying further expand in the region. Right? So how you say that? දැන් මේ level එකට ආවට පස්සේ කියන්න බලන්න හරි. මම දැන් establish වෙලා ඉන්නේ මේ region එකේ කියලා නෝ. Right? Okay. ඒක නෑ. තව අපිට branches open කරන්න. Right? තව ATMs open කරන්න. තව service centers open කරන්න වෙනවා. තව මේක diversify කරන්න වෙනවා. There's no upper limit. So you can say on further expansion the operation in South Asia or maybe in the region. Correct. But it doesn't make any sense why you have to explain how you're gonna achieve it. මේ විතර කිව්වට වැඩක් නැහැ. ඔයාට සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඔයා කොහොමද මේක ඇත්තටම කරන්නේ කියන එක. එහෙනම් ඒ වෙනුවෙන් ඔයාට තියෙන mission එක මොනවද? Now it's explain the fact that a statement that explains the vision widely further, vision එකම තව ටිකක් further explain කරනවා and guides the individuals of the organization to perform and distinguishes its organization from the affairs of other organizations. This decides the nature and the direction of an organization. A mission statement is some ways an action-oriented vision statement declaring the purpose of an organization and its audience, and mission statement is intended to clarify what, who, why of a company existing. It's the roadmap for the company's vision statement. එහෙනම් ඔයාලා කියපු position එක imaginary position එක ඔයා කොහොමද achieve කරගන්නේ? Right, the peak point. Let's say the peak of the mountain. So what is your roadmap to that? Right? So what is your roadmap? So in terms of achieving this, that's what it's explained in the mission statement. In our final end goal, that's the roadmap, and it explains and it's further describe the situation. Now, let me come up with these important questions. And I have put this table here. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions from that particular organization, and then you see the factors that you need to include. For example, these are the set of questions has to be answered from a mission statement. එහෙනම් මේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න ඔක්කොම වෙන්න පුළුවන් කීපයකට answers ලැබෙන්න ඕන mission statement එක read කරමු. හරි. දැන් මම ඔයාලට vision statement එකක් මෙතන පෙන්නනවා වගේ මම මේකත් එක්කම පෙන්නන්නද මේ company කියන vision statement එක කොහොමද හැදෙන්නේ කියලා. Right. So it's something like this. They are saying providing reliable, innovative, customer-friendly financial services utilizing cutting-edge technology. What do you mean by cutting-edge technology? It's the latest technology. And focusing continuously on productivity improvement while developing our staff and acquiring necessary expertise to expand local and regional. මම හිතනවා දැන් mission statement එක read කරොත් ඒක ටිකක් sense වෙනවා. මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි මේ goal එකට මේගොල්ලෝ reach කරන්න හදන්නේ. හැබැයි vision එක read කරා කියලා මේගොල්ලෝ කියනවා මෙහෙම expand කරයි. හැබැයි කිසිම ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ plan එකක් පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ කොහොමද මේ තැනට reach වෙන්නේ කියලා. හරිනම් මේ බලන්න. දැන් අපි බැලුවොත් මෙතන how you expand in South Asia. How you become the most technologically advanced and customer-friendly organization by expanding your operations. By how? By providing reliable, innovative, customer-friendly financial services, and also at the same time we'll be using the latest technology so that we can expand quickly, right? Because when other companies grab the technology in a later days, we are ahead of them. ඒගොල්ලෝ ටෙක්නොලොජි එකනේ ගොඩක් පහු වෙලා. අපි තමයි මුලින්ම ටෙක්නොලොජි එක absorb කරේ. එහෙනම් අපිට lead කරන්න පුළුවන්. So that's what using the latest technology, and also continuous improvement, continuously improve කරනවා. ඒක අපි කවදාවත් business වල හිතන්නේ දැන් ඇති කියලා එකක්. එහෙම එකක් නැහැ. දැන් මේ quality එකක්. දැන් මේ mobile phones මෙතනින් එහාට technology එකක් නැහැ. මේක තමයි last version එක කියලා කවදාවත් present කරන්නේ නැහැ. mobile phone එක අලුත් version එකක් එන්නේ. The next එක අවුරුදු එකමාරේ ඊළඟ model එක දානවා. ඒ කියන්නේ they add some features. මෙතනින් මේ technology එක ඉවරයි. මේක තමයි latest මේක මෙතනින් එහාට for mobile phone technology එකක් නැහැයි කියලා කවුරුත් කියන්නේ නැහැ. So it's applicable to everything, right? So motor vehicles, mobile phone technology. the evaluation is that it's a never-ending process. So that's what the continuous improvement. So that is what some businesses collapse. They thought of, right, now we are the market leaders. මේක තමයි product එක. මේකට ගන්න කිසිම product එකක් නැහැ. මෙතන ඉහාට technology එකක් දිනු කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. මේක තමයි end destination එක කියලා හිතාගෙන businesses කරනවා. එතකොට මොනවද වෙන්නේ? අනිත් company එකක් ඒක surpass කරගෙන යනවා. So that's what happened to Nokia. So they thought they were the leaders. They are the person who, producing or manufacturing the latest mobile phones, and no one is there to compete. So they thought of like that. So they never wanted to increase the product day by day or the continuous improvement. Monari technology හොයාගත්ත පස්සේ එතනට limit වෙනවා. එතනින් එහාට ඊළඟ level එක ගැන or what we known as the next level. So they are not trying to think about the next level. But see, it's really important nowadays with the competition, you think about that. So that's what the continuous improvement. And while developing our staff and acquiring necessary expertise to expand locally and region. And now when you read the mission statement, it provides a sense how you become to that position, how you reach that position. You provide a reliable service, you are customer friendly, and you are using the latest technology, and you will be your product and services always there's an improvement, and also you'll be develop your staff. So that's what the mission describes. Now in terms of the questions, right? The mission statement taking apita pula, why does an organization exist? So one simple question. I mean organization ekak තියෙනවා. So I would say why does an organization exist like that? කියන්නේ මොනවාද මේ business එකෙන් කරන දේවල්. තවත් question එකක් විතර අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්. What's its mission? Right? මොකක්ද ඊළඟ mission එක. තමයි පැහැදිලිව first එකේ අපි read කරේ, right? What's the mission? Mission එක achieve කරන්න තියෙන mission එක මොනවද? And then what is it? What does it do in terms of achieving it? What does it do? දැන් මම අහුවොත් what does it do කියන එකට පල්ලෙහා example එකේ මොනවද? Using the latest technology, invest in staff, develop it. What else you found? Being friendly, right? Providing that service. So that's what you do in terms of achieving. And also, what does it expect to reach in the future, right? Then මොනවාද කරන්නේ? ඒ වගේම future එකේදී ඔයාලට reach කරන දෙයක් ගැන ඒගොල්ලෝ mention කරනවාද? What does it expect? What does it expect to reach in the future? එහෙනම් මෙන්න මේ questions වලට answer එකක් හැම mission statement එකකම තියෙනවා. අපි බලමු තවත් mission statement කීපයක් අරගෙන. This is what the Apple Corporation's mission and vision, right? So they are come up with this strategy. Let me tell you their vision statement, right? And also, if you visit the website, we can easily find this. For example, like අපි local company එකක් මුලින්ම ගමු. To verify whether they have come up with. So usually when you go to the About Us column, you might see that their vision and mission statement. Right, let's see that. So I'm just sharing, I thought of sharing the screen. Now, as you know, I'm in Bank of Ceylon's website. Okay, so you go to the website and you go about us, right? You go to about us, so they are telling about the company, and then you think the bank profile, yes, the vision and mission statement you can find. Let's see. That mission එක ගොඩක් කරලා detail. Vision එක ටිකක් shortly තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ describe කරන්නේ. Right, what do you think? What do you think, guys? Vision එක විතර ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා to be the nation's preferred bank with a strong global presence, providing customer-centric innovative financial solutions. ඒතර RPA අනේ දෙක limit එකක් නැහැ කියලා. To be the nation's preferred bank with a strong global presence by providing customer-oriented financial solution. ඒකේ මොනවද මෙන්න දැන් අපි mission එක achieve කරා. දැන් අපිට business එක close කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙනම් එහෙම situation එකක් නැහැ. Right? එනාර V shape එක business එක grow වෙන්න vision එකත් ඉස්සරහට යනවා. It's like you're following a miracle, right? කාන්තාරකදී miracle එකක් follow කරගෙන යනවා. Something like that, right? So to be the nation's preferred bank with a strong global presence. Then කාටරි කියන්නේ දැන් අපි ඉන්නේ strong global presence එකක දැන් ඇති කියලා. No. Mission. So how you try to achieve this? To provide highly efficient, customer focused, technological sophisticated, resilient and innovative financial services to the nation with global access, empowering employees and enhancing value to the stakeholders. Right. එහෙනම් බැලුවොත් මෙන්න මේ statement එකේදී කියනවා කොහොමද preferred bank එක වෙන්නේ? Efficient වෙලා, customer focused වෙලා, latest technology use කරලා, innovative වුණා පාඩ පුළුවන් preferred bank එක වෙන්න. එහෙනම් preferred bank වෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ follow කරේ නැත්තම්. And also not only that, you enhance the value of all the stakeholders. Right, in terms of shareholders, in terms of the rest of the interested parties. Preferred bank. So likewise, you see, describe the questions. Then back to the questions. Why does the organization exist? Yes. What's the mission? What does it do? Right? Try to be efficient. Try to be the customer oriented. To use the latest technology. And what does it expect to reach in the future is that, in the global access to be the preferred and a stable bank. So likewise, you can check on the mission and vision statement. Right? So can you also please take this set of questions in the right side of the space that I have provided. Not only that, there are some factors to be included. In a mission statement. The mission statement is a detailed version of the vision, I would say. Right? Target customers mention target customer. Target audience. And region focus. Nature of the business. right? මොන වගේ business එකක්ද කරන්නේ? ඒක banking and finance, the technological business එකක්ද? Motor vehicle සම්බන්ධයක්ද? මොනක්ද nature එක, right? Nature of the business. Nature of the business. And the market, yes, market keyword, yes. Not only the local market focus, the regional market. And also the expected growth. Expected growth. Right? Unexpected growth. The region again established. And also their values and beliefs. Their values, value staff develop. Value latest technology use. Right? And also the public image, how they try to maintain the public image or the reputation. That's also matters a lot. So a mission statement should be able to provide answers for these questions, and also it should contain with the below factors. Mokakda target market එක, මොකක්ද business nature එක, මොනවද තියෙන values, මොකක්ද තියෙන public image එක. So if you try to include all or most of the content, so you will come up with the acceptable mission statement. And also the relationship that you need to maintain. හැමතිස්සෙම mission statement එකනේ detail version එක. Vision එකේ detail version එක. නැතු මේ දෙක unparallel වෙන්න බෑ. හැමතිස්සෙම මේ parallelly යන්න වෙනවා. Vision එකයි mission එකයි in line. Now, these are really important because in the planning process, if it is a new organization, you have to establish. That's why you need to have conceptual skill. As the key managers, as the founders, as the top managers, you are the person who deciding the mission and vision statement. So that's what the conceptual skills are needed here. Right? If it is a new organization, a new company that you are about to launch, so then definitely you have to, in the planning process, you need to make sure you, decide the company's vision and mission. So that's what the top managements are doing, because why? They need to have more conceptual skills. So they are the person who deciding the direction of the company, the set of things they wanted to achieve. Right. So I hope you're done with the writing and have, get the point. So what's the difference? Always try to, when you see an annual report, so just try to go and see the check, or maybe even, right, when it comes to education institute, when it comes to school also, sometimes you see the vision and mission සමහරවිට දාලා දැක්ම සහ මෙහෙවර ප්‍රකාශනය කියලා sometimes you might remember, right, the vision and the mission of a school, right? Correct. So likewise, so you see the difference, but that's directly towards the goals and objectives. Vision එක දෙකම හදලා තියෙන්නේ අපේ goals and objectives achieve කරගන්න. So then all you need to make sure you know about goals and objectives. Goals in terms of the long term, what you need to achieve. Because why in the planning process, the core area that will be doing is establishing your goals and objectives, what you need to achieve and how you achieve. So the prospections that an organization expect to fulfill in long run is known as goals. Please highlight which you expect to achieve in long run. You have a goal to be the largest, let's say, kind of business, the largest apparel manufacturer. So which is you cannot achieve by overnight. So it takes time. That's why in the long run or the long term, right? There are like කතාවක් කියනවා නේද රෝමේ එක දවසින් හැදුවේ නැහැ කියලා ඉතරයි the Rome was not built overnight. So likewise, not those organizations, you see it takes time, correct? So what do you need to achieve in the long run? The goals further explained in the vision and stated the vision. Yes, එහෙනම් මේක explain කරනවා goals මොනවාද vision and stated vision එකේ. So the goal is an idea of the future or desired result. Future or a desired result. මොකක්ද වගේ desire එක. And once you achieve that, you will say, I have achieved my goals. So the desired result, what you expected, and that a person or group of people enjoys, and people and commit to achieving. Now the objectives, it's a different term where it focuses on the short-term point of view. So the short-term prospections that are expected to fulfill is known as the objectives. The objectives are revealed as quantitative measures in connection with the time. For example, let's say for a fact that how you measure that you are saying that you are the Sri Lanka's largest entity in terms of a sector. But an objective definitely you can say, right? So the measurement is there. There you can see throughout the last 12 months, we have been able to increase our sales by 10%, reduce our employee turnover by 5%, increase our stated capital by the set of millions or billions. We've been able to increase our share base or the number of shareholders by this much. We've been able to increase the number of outlets or the branches that we have. We've been able to recruit more employees, so which we have increased the labor force. So I would say, when you have an objective, when you try to fulfill the objectives, the goals will be automatically achieved, right? Because slowly, gradually, where you achieve the objectives, so it will definitely lead to achieving the goals. For example, to become the largest incorporated company in Sri Lanka, where you try to achieve your objectives in terms of the reputation, in terms of the turnover, in terms of the sales, in terms of the cost reduction, all have measurements, each department. So what the objectives of HR department, objective of finance department, objectives of marketing department. So when everyone's achieved their objective, definitely the company will achieve its goals. So it's like when you fulfill your short-term expectation, so once you fulfill those, it will automatically direct you to, get it done your long-term expectation. එහෙනම් long term expectation achieve කරන්න බැහැ නවා short term expectation කරේ නැත්තම්. Example එකක් විදිහට අපි හිතමු to become a lawyer you have to study like 8 semesters. So becoming a lawyer or accountant is your goal. But to do that, you have the assessment to that, you have the semester examination, doing some research and stuff. So those are like your objectives. So, without achieving the objectives, you won't be able to achieve your goal. So I would say a goal is something where you see a collection of objectives, collection of so many objectives. So once you reach each and each objective, you are surely on the way to achieving your goals. That's what we say. Objective has to be smart. And now today's the point is where you are not working hard. You have to work smart. Remember that part. You don't have to work hard nowadays. No longer the result will give, right? But we know that we have to work hard. But sometimes it's not the case. But being smart is different nowadays. Right? Hard work කරන්න තමයි. හැබැයි පොඩක් ස්මාර්ට් විදිහට වෙන විදිහට හිතුවොත් අපිට ඊට වඩා පහසුවෙන් අපේ objectives achieve කරගන්න වෙනවා. ඒක තමයි the smart word has set of meanings. Has to be specific to your goals. Right? It has to be something you can measure, something actionable, something achievable or attainable. Right? And then you have, it should be something realistic, should be something time related matter. So when everything fulfills, you have your set of objectives, which should be smart objectives. So where it will direct yourself to your set of goals to achieve. Right. Now what we can do is, guys, can just write down this set of parts. In terms of the smart, the concept of smart consists of these set of words, right? The meaning itself, the word smart, one of the popular question. It has to be specific. It has to be specific to your goal. The goal like a accountant කෙනෙක් වෙනවා හැබැයි ඔයාට objective එකක් තියෙන්න බෑ ඒකට specific නැති දෙයක්. Right? You are following an architecture course. So it's not related, right? Not specific to the goal. ඔයාට තව goal එකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. මම accountant කෙනෙකුත් වෙනවා මම architect කෙනෙකුත් වෙනවා. අපි ඔයාට තියෙන goal එක architect කෙනෙක් විතරක් නම් වෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ objectives specific වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඔයා ඒක related දෙයක් තමයි follow කරන්නේ. Right? Or to get the experience. So it has to be specific to the goal. It should be something measurable, right? Always measurable. So in terms of a percentage, in terms of a growth rate, something measurable. And also something you can achieve, achievable, and we can have possibility, practicability. Now, not that, action-based, yes, make achieve karanna puluwanda කියන එක. Realistic, the difference between the achievable and realistic is that based on your point of view, it's achievable to you. Realistic can ඇත්තට මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක්, right? Generally, you see whether it's practical or not. Actionable is something by looking at the available resources you have, you decide, for me, whether it's achievable or not. And then there should be a time bounded, there should be a time frame, because you cannot say, it takes 10 years, 5 years, 15 years. There has to be a timeline. Before end of this year, I will achieve this. By end of the next month, right? I'll be covering all grade 12 stuff. So I'll be fully done with that. So likewise, if a time frame එකක් තිබුණේ නැත්නම් we cannot consider as a good objective. So objective has to be with the timeline. හැබැයි goal එකකට එහෙම timeline එකක් නැහැ. It's long term. Because you know that overnight you cannot achieve that. Then overnight සමහරට ඔයාට එක lesson එකක් complete කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි overnight ඔයාට exam එකටම ready වෙන්න බෑ. Right? A kind of a small unit you can complete. which is an objective. Right? The goal you cannot achieve by overnight. The exam එකකට දවස් දෙකක් තියලා වැඩ ටික පටන් ගත්තොත් පුළුවන් කරන්න. No, right? අර objective එක fulfill කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. Right, so once we discuss the vision, mission, and then goals, objectives, then one of the key word, one of the key term that we should be having a proper idea, which is the strategy. Strategy. So I hope you are done with this. Coming to the concept of strategy, what do you mean by that? අපි කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ විදිහට ස්ට්‍රැටජි එකක් පුෂ් කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. right? එහෙනම් ඔයාගේ goal එකක් හෝ කීපයක්. Goals and objectives, it could be a one goal or different goals. Right? What is your action plan? What is your plan to achieve a goal or goals with the situation of uncertainty? කොහොමද මේ uncertainty එකත් එක්ක main goals achieve කරන්න. මම example එකක් කියන්නද? අපි හිතමු in terms of different department might have different strategies. සමහර එකයි production strategy එක. right? Marketing strategy එක. අපි කියන්නේ product strategic කරන කියලා strategic. ඊට පස්සේ HR strategy එක. What else? Maybe research and development strategy. I'm sorry, example like target strategy when you recruit employees, you try to recruit most experienced employees to your business. So that is your strategy behind the success of the operations, because you never recruit person or individuals without experience. You always recruit with experience from the industry. Finance කියනවා ඒක තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝගේ HR strategy එක. අයි HR එක perform කරන්නේ මේ strategy එක. Production strategy. They never reduce their quality. So whatever the price that they are going to charge, they will be charging that price, but they never reduce the quality. So maybe that is the strategy behind the success. අපි සමහර කෙනෙක්ට මේ වගේ strategy එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. පුළුවන් තරම් අඩුම මිල දෙන එක. Right? Low cost strategy එකකින් තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ යන්නේ. ඒ නිසා quality drop වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But that is fine, you know, in terms of their organization, that is the strategy. Marketing. Now the marketing strategy is all about based on social medias. So that's the strategy there. Right? Always try to boost or try to advertise using social medias, not using other medias. So they think that that's the success behind their strategy. Why their good is so well promoted because of this promotion strategy. So when the may in order to achieve a goal or set of objectives, what is your plan? Right? What is your plan with the time of uncertainty? You cannot exactly say මේ strategy එක follow කරොත් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම results එයි කියලා කියන්න බෑ. That's never guaranteed. That is why with the uncertainty, with the situation of uncertainty that you are taking those, in order to achieve a goal or set of goals, what is your action plan, right? That you execute in terms of the uncertain situation. Now, with different departments, different units, එක strategies වලට එන්න පුළුවන්, right? Example like that මේ දවස්වලදී forex crisis එක නේද? The forex crisis. Forex means foreign exchange, right? Foreign exchange, forex crisis. Or some are saying strategy, right? Strategies go to the IMF strategy, then Charlene strategy got used the money printing. Now we are realizing the result of that, right? The hyperinflation situation. What's the strategy? What is the strategy behind attracting new investors? The strategy got suggest maybe rules and regulation reduce right? You go and participate for like world exhibitions in that side of a situation. So those of situation. What is the strategy to promote tourism? So what is your action plan? The strategy. Sometime I remember there was a strategy to promote tourism in UK and Europe by using cricketers. You can go back England team එක වෙන්න පුළුවන් England use කරගෙන කොහොමද ඒ රටවල promote කරන්නේ strategy. So what is the strategy? Try to promote the tourism in Europe countries, such a thing. So maybe that මොනාරි වගේ in terms of uncertainty, what is your action plan to achieve your set of goals, right? Depending on the organization, depending on the unit, you might have different strategies, right? Correct. So shall we highlight these parts? එතනින් එහාට අපිට ඔක්කොම ටික මම include කරලා තියෙනවා. It's matter of highlighting. So a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall goals and objectives. The strategies point out what should be done to realize vision and mission and goals of objectives. And also this is the high-level plan to achieve one or more goals under condition of uncertainty. Procedure. What do you mean by guys procedures? At policies procedures. A set of steps established to follow for the fulfillment of a certain task. Example like what is the procedure in terms of recruiting a new employee? First, calling for an application, review those, shortlist, call for interviews, verify the certificates. So there should be a procedure, right? Because everyone follows the process, right? Correct. Good. So for example, what is the HR policy, right? So in terms of recruiting a new employee, right? So there's a procedure which everyone will follow. So there are no deviations in that. There's no variation. Everyone will follow. What is the purchasing procedures? So how do you select a supplier? So everyone will follow that. A set of established to follow. A set of steps established to follow. Everyone will follow this. Then there's no issue with that. So that is why where the audit comes. Audit එකක් ආවට පස්සේ බලන්න පුළුවන් කවුද මේ steps skip කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ steps ටික follow කරලාද one by one. මොකද ඒක තමයි standard operating procedure එක. Okay? And if someone tries to skip those steps, which means have not followed the correct procedures, someone certificate verify කරලා නැතුව recruit කරලා. That shortlist කරන්න නැතුව recruit කරලා. Not follow the procedures. Rules keyword, yes, this is an index prepared. Explain the things to be done and not to be done. මොනවාද කර යුතු සහ කළ නොතු දේවල් in an organization. There are rules and regulations. Program එකක් keyword. This is an explanation of the resources required for a specific task and the way of employing them, dividing them into main sub or subsets. Some of the special program එකක් launch කරනවා. So in that manner, yes, what are the set of resources required to achieve a specific task? ඊට පස්සේ එතන ඉවරයි ඒක program එක. අපිට මොනාරි in an organization, you execute a program, right? So once you're done with that, you try to achieve the specific task. Project also the same thing. This is a task with specific beginning and specific end. After the regular project launch with a new product, right? For a very promotional product. So in that manner, start with a specific beginning and end with a specific thing, right? To solve a specific problem. අපිට මොනාරි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ දැනට තියෙන ඔක්කොම accounting manually තමයි යන්නේ. එහෙනම් project එකක් launch කරනවා කොහොමද මේක computerize කරන්නේ? එහෙනම් specific beginning එකක් තියෙනවා, specific end එකක් තියෙනවා. කොහොම computerize කරනවා? අපිට project එකක් යනවා කොහොමද employee files නේද? manually තිබුණ දෙයක් කොහොමද computerized system එකකට ඒක convert කරන්නේ? So the project is going on to that, right? So likewise, that you will be executing projects in an organization. Now, out of these key concepts, mama highlight karana monada wada important දැනගන්න අවශ්‍ය කියලා. Make sure you know well about vision, mission, goals, objectives. This part, හැබැයි මේකෙන් කියන්නේ මේවා අහලා නැහැයි කියලා, right? මෙතන අපිට general understanding එකක් තිබුණා නම් හරි මෙන්න අනිත් concepts ගැන, right? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මෙන්න මේකත් පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩිලා කියන්න පුළුවන් strategy. ඒ හැර rules program ගැන එච්චරම check කරලා නැහැ කලින් years වල. They have continuously tested the knowledge in terms of the first four concepts plus strategy එකක් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා අහලා තිබුණා මේ recent exam එකේ. Ekin කියන්නේ අනිත් ඒවා අවශ්‍ය නැහැ කියලා, but the more attention has to be paid for these set of parts, right? With that, guys, about the planning process, I'll take up to next session the steps of the planning process. So we don't have the class last week of the December, which is the last week of this year as well. So we'll be having the next class next year, right? Which is one of the important year in your life because that's the examination year 2022, right? With that, thank you for everyone for joining and wish you Merry Christmas as well as Happy Holidays and a New Year. So we'll start with the refresh, have a break and refresh your things, and then we'll work hard in the coming year because it's one of the important part as you face your examination. So then, thank you all. Good night. We'll see you. Right. Thank you.